At 19, she discovered an amazing secret. Her millionaire cowboy husband's gift changed everything. Sarah Collins felt like a shadow drifting through the bustling halls of the sprawling university. While her siblings basked in accolades, she stood behind the counter of the local diner, slinging burgers and pouring coffee, and wondering if she'd ever be anything more than invisible. The Texas sun shone mercilessly, illuminating both her isolation and her dreams, dreams that seemed to slip further away like smoke in the wind. Then came Jake Thompson. With his rugged charm and warm brown eyes, he spun tales of the ranch life that felt surreal yet intoxicating. They shared laughter beneath the stars, a sweet escape from her insecurities, and for a moment she believed she could be seen, loved for who she was, rather than what she lacked. Their whirlwind romance culminated in a passionate wedding beneath the vast Texas sky. Yet just days later, a family secret shattered her newfound bliss. Rustling through a dusty box in the back of Jake's barn, Sarah unwrapped fragile documents that revealed much more than a home. Hidden were proof of Jake's legacy, wealth and land that came from generations of toil and estrangement. Her heart raced, not with excitement but confusion. Did this change everything? Did this mean her love was somehow intertwined with privilege? As the weight of the discovery sank in, her mind raced through the implications. Whispers of jealousy tightened around her throat, stifling her breath. With each passing day, Sarah felt the sting of judgment from acquaintances who claimed to be friends. The gossip whispered that she was merely a lucky woman married into wealth. Doubt gnawed at her heart. Did she deserve this life? Questions spiraled uncontrollably. Was her love for Jake genuine or a result of his status? The shadows of self-doubt surrounded her, suffocating her creative spirit. The art she always loved now felt tainted, stifled by expectations. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Yet in the midst of this tumult, an art competition emerged on the horizon, reigniting a flicker of hope within Sarah. The mere thought of putting her work out there thrilled and terrified her. Could she stand the shame of dismissal as merely the millionaire's wife? The pressure felt insurmountable. As she prepared, internal battles raged. Each brushstroke painted layers of fear and uncertainty.
It became a haunting ritual, retreating to her sketchbook, pouring out emotions she scarcely understood. With her heart racing at even the thought of showing her pieces, Sarah teetered on the brink of whether to seize this chance. But how could she showcase her identity without overshadowing the man she loved? As those familiar whispers clawed at her resolve, the burden of expectations tightened, a noose around her creativity. And then the confrontation with her jealous friend, her demands pulling her deeper into insecurities, forcing her to question everything. Sarah stood at the precipice of her identity, ready to reveal her truth. Yet that very revelation filled her with dread. Her love for Jake felt heavy, an anchor dragging her further away from the surface of who she was. Would she drown in the sea of expectations, or could she untangle her identity as an artist from the glitter of affluence? The sweeping Texas sky overhead witnessed her turmoil, a crossroads where a single choice hung in the balance, capable of changing everything. Sarah stood in front of her easel, the blank canvas taunting her, as if to say it knew of her doubts. The sunlight streamed through the window, casting a warm glow around her, but failing to penetrate the cold uncertainty wrapped around her heart. She dipped her brush into paint, fingers trembling. This competition was meant to be a breakthrough, an opportunity to reclaim her identity as an artist, to step into the light she had sewn together from her dreams. Yet each stroke felt like an admission of guilt, an unspoken betrayal to Jake's legacy. She flicked a glance toward the framed photograph of them on the mantel, a moment of wild laughter captured in time. The image lifted her spirit momentarily. She remembered how his laughter resonated throughout the house, making it feel like home. But then a voice echoed in her thoughts, reminding her of the whispers in judgment. "You're just the billionaire's wife." The weight of those words threatened to buckle her resolve. Determined not to let fear overshadow her passion, Sarah began to paint. Each brushstroke became an act of rebellion against her insecurities. She poured her feelings onto the canvas, the rawness of longing, the vibrant colors of hope intermingled with dark patches of doubt. The experience was cathartic. She was lost in the flow, the sound of the world fading away. As days passed, she grew more invested in her work, yet a gnawing fear still bubbled beneath the surface. Reality seeped in like a slow poison. What if she poured her soul into this piece, only to be criticized for its merit being overshadowed by her connection to Jake? Dismissing these thoughts proved increasingly difficult, yet her determination flickered like a candle fighting against a storm. Finally, the day of submission arrived. Standing at the threshold of the competition venue, a mix of exhilaration and terror coursed through her veins.
She glanced at Jake's encouraging smile in her mind, and with a determined breath, she stepped inside. The atmosphere buzzed with creativity, the air thick with ambition. Yet that very energy felt foreign to her, like an intruder in a place she wasn't supposed to belong. As she set up her piece, she noticed groups of artists huddled together, conversing as though they belonged to a secret society. Thoughts of inadequacy crept back. Had she done enough? Was her art worthy? The judges eventually made their rounds, scrutinizing each piece intently. When they stopped in front of her canvas, Sarah's heart raced, every doubt scrambling to the forefront of her mind. As they leaned in, she held her breath, desperate for validation, yet fearing the inevitable scrutiny. "Tell us about your piece," one judge said, breaking the silence. Sarah steadied herself, feeling the weight of her story wanting to spill out, but instead, insecurity wedged itself between her and the truth. How could she speak of her triumphs when she felt like a fraud? What would they think if they knew the doubts that surged like waves within her? It's about the journey of finding identity," she began, her voice trembling, "between expectations and dreams." A pause, heavy and suffocating, lingered in the air. "Interesting," the judge replied, but the critique felt like nails on a chalkboard in her ears. She was just another artist grappling with ambition. Did they see her? Did they see past the label they assumed? As they moved on, a sense of impending doom enveloped her. Was she simply spinning in circles, forever caught between two worlds? Later, as she sat in a quiet corner, the ambiance shifted from vibrant energy to disheartening noise. Self-reflection turned into self-condemnation, and she clutched her sketchbook tightly, whispering words of self-encouragement that felt hollow. Suddenly, she realized it was now or never. A surge of clarity washed over her. She needed to confront her identity, to break free from the mold she felt forced into. The moment of truth was approaching, and she couldn't succumb to fear any longer. As Sarah prepared for her next move, she could feel the winds shifting in her favor. There was power in embracing her story, even if the path ahead was still unclear. With newfound determination, she resolved to reveal not just her art, but the stifled artist within herself. Only one question hung in the air. Would she have the courage to face her fears and take ownership of her identity, or would she retreat back into the shadows of self-doubt? The road ahead promised confrontation, a reckoning that loomed closer with each heartbeat, ready to reveal what lay hidden beneath the surface. The moment Sarah exited the competition venue, the rush of colors and sounds faded into a dull hum. She could still feel the tug of uncertainty lingering like an unwelcome guest. Yet, as she walked through the city streets, she wasn't just a bystander to her own life. That realization flickered like a beacon within her. In the days that followed, the once vibrant canvas now rested against the wall, almost taunting her again. Despite the absence of any award or acknowledgement, she began to feel an energy arising from within, one that she hadn't tapped into in years. It was strange and unfamiliar, yet invigorating. Maybe it wasn't about the piece she submitted or the judges' opinions. Perhaps it was about the act of creation itself. The sun dipped low in the sky as she returned to the easel. Each brushstroke began to breathe new life into her art, this time without the burden of expectation. She painted not for validation, but for herself, channeling her thoughts and emotions through vibrant colors and wild strokes. The studio became her sanctuary, a place where she transformed raw reality into vivid imagination. But the internal conflict hadn't entirely disappeared. The painful whispers echoed back, reminding her of her perceived inadequacies. Just the billionaire's wife, they taunted. Just. The word felt like a weight pressing down on her spirit. How could she reframe her narrative?
What would her story look like if she stepped beyond the shadow of Jake's legacy? With the brush in hand, she made a choice to embrace the complexities of her identity. Sarah allowed her past and present to intermingle on the canvas, creating a visual dialogue that spoke of love, loss, and rediscovery. Each smudge told tales. Even the dark hues reflected the bittersweet moments of joy. Yet with every stroke that filled the canvas, the growing intensity of her next dilemma loomed large. Should she share this new piece with others? What if criticism shattered the fragile identity she was building? Despite her fear, she felt a growing urge to showcase this new chapter of her artistry. Sharing her truth might feel risky, yet it also could be liberating. The inaugural exhibition at a local gallery loomed on the horizon, and soon the familiar blend of excitement and trepidation mixed within her. Days before the event, she found herself with a choice: to remain hidden in the comfort of her studio, or to step fully into the spotlight, exposing herself and her newly defined identity to the world. One evening, she drafted an artist statement, pouring her heart and soul into every word. "This work is a reflection not of who I was, but of who I am becoming," she wrote, aware that this message would be a testament to her journey, the vulnerabilities she'd harnessed along the way. But doubt crept back, a familiar specter whispering that her voice was still muted. As she read through her words, she felt the same hollow thump invade her heart. Was she really ready to dismantle the walls she had erected? Yet it dawned on her that embracing her journey meant not only showcasing her art, but sharing the person she had fought so hard to rediscover.
The exhibition wasn't simply a platform for recognition, it was a stage for unveiling her truth. In the quiet of her studio, as she prepared her pieces, an epiphany struck. The act of creation was itself a courageous declaration that she was more than just the woman behind a successful man. She was an artist, unique in her experiences and emotions. Just then, her phone buzzed with a message from a childhood friend who had been re-entering her life, asking for a rendezvous. The implications were immediate. Could this meeting tap into another layer of her identity, or would it pull her backward to the shadows of her past? As she contemplated the invitation, Sarah stood at a crossroads, aware that the choices she made could either connect her to her burgeoning sense of self or draw her back into the uncertainty she'd fought so hard to escape. The clock was ticking, and so was her pulse. What would she decide? Facing her fears would require more than courage. It demanded an unwavering grasp on the woman she was becoming. As Sarah stared at her phone, the vibrant colors of her studio seemed to swirl around her, blurring under the weight of what this reunion might bring. The message from her friend, Jenna, was cheerful, filled with a sense of nostalgia that tugged at her heart. Jenna had always been a beacon during their school years, and now the thought of reconnecting pulled at both her excitement and fear. What would it mean to reconnect with someone from her past? Would she still feel tethered to her former self, or had enough time passed for their relationship to evolve alongside her own transformation? The fear of returning to old patterns battled against the prospect of rekindling a friendship that could potentially support her newfound identity. Setting the phone down, Sarah took a deep breath and returned to her easel, focusing on her canvas as if it held the answer she sought. With each brushstroke, she reminded herself of the journey she had undertaken, a journey defined by rediscovery and resilience. But Jenna represented that past connection, one that could either empower or ensnare her in the shadows of just the billionaire's wife. As she painted, fragmented memories of their shared laughter and late-night conversations flooded her mind, enveloped in a cloud of disbelief that she could long for the past while striving to own her present. Standing there, in front of the canvas adorned with nearly finished pieces, her heart swirled with the idea of fully stepping into her new role, not just as an artist, but as a woman with undeniable strength. After several days of reflection, Sarah decided to accept Jenna's invitation. Each message exchanged felt like an incremental step toward forging her identity, not forged from the shadows of someone else, but stepping boldly into the light of who she truly was. The meeting could become a test, not only for her, but for Jenna too. Would they still share the same connection amidst the changes? The day of their reunion arrived, bringing with it an unexpected surge of nerves. Standing before her closet, Sarah shunned the usual flowing, expensive gowns she could easily slip into. Instead, she opted for a simple yet vibrant dress that mirrored the colors in her paintings. The choice felt like an act of defiance against the preconceived notions of who she was. As she walked to the cafe they agreed to meet at, her pulse quickened. The street buzzed with life, a stark reminder of the world she both craved and questioned. The vibrant murals that lined the walls pushed her to evaluate every step she took. This was about more than just a friendship. This was a proclamation of her evolution. Upon entering the cafe, she spotted Jenna with a bittersweet pang of nostalgia. Jenna looked like she stepped right out of their college years, and the sight brought back memories of late-night study sessions and dreams of art that often felt unattainable. As they hugged, Sarah found a warmth in the embrace, yet it was the subtle chuckle that followed that solidified her hope for this meeting. "What have you been up to?" Jenna asked, her eyes sparkling with genuine interest, especially as she scanned Sarah's outfit, a shift from typical elegance to vibrant self-expression. "I've been creating," Sarah replied, her voice steady, surprising herself, finding my own voice again. Their conversation flowed, touching on art, history, and the journey of self-discovery. Slowly, the comfortable familiarity emerged, but something was also distinct. Sarah attuned herself to the subtle shifts in Jenna's expressions, searching for signs that familiarity and understanding could emerge unscathed. But just as the conversation deepened, Jenna's curiosity pricked at the surface. "I always saw you as someone destined for great things. How does it feel to be you?" That question landed heavy. Sarah felt like she had stepped onto a stage, the spotlight glaring. Did she dare to reveal the layers beneath the surface? Sharing her transformation required a courage she had not fully acknowledged until that moment. Each second stretched, a palpable tension in the air, forcing Sarah to confront her self-doubt head-on. What if Jenna didn't understand? What if this reunion swung open the door to criticism and misunderstanding? Would she have the strength to uphold her identity amidst the echoes of the past? With each passing moment, her heart raced, and the weight of her ambitions pressed against her chest. The shadows whispered of past failures, but was it time to embrace everything she had become? "What would you think if I told you I'm preparing for an exhibition?" As the words left her mouth, the foundation of their friendship trembled on the brink, and the exhilaration of her truth hung heavy in the air. Jenna's brow furrowed slightly, a hint of confusion crossing her features. An exhibition? But what's that about? Are you serious, Sarah?
As the unease settled between them, Sarah could feel the stakes rise, her past colliding with her present in a way that felt simultaneously thrilling and terrifying. What would Jenna's response hold? Would acceptance pave the way forward, or would the walls she feared begin to close in? The moment felt frozen, the answer lurking in the tension of her revelation. The air thickened with anticipation, and Sarah's heart drummed loudly against her ribcage, a tangible reminder of the moment that lay before her. Jenna's expression shifted from confusion to intrigue, and Sarah felt the weight of her words hang like a fragile thread connecting the two women. "I'm serious," Sarah pressed, needing Jenna to see her commitment. "I have been pouring everything into my art. This exhibition is not just about displaying my work, it's about reclaiming my identity." Jenna's surprise morphed into curiosity, her brows arching as she leaned in, encouraging Sarah to share more. Yet, despite the warmth of reunion, a tightness coiled in Sarah's chest. What if Jenna couldn't comprehend the magnitude of this shift? The question knotted in her mind intensified as she played with her hands, a mosaic of anxiety and excitement. This moment was both exhilarating and precarious, teetering on the edge of breakthrough or disappointment. "What's the theme?" Jenna asked, wheels visibly turning in her mind. "Rediscovery," Sarah replied, her voice gaining strength. "Each piece reflects a stage of my life, a journey through the layers of who I've been and who I am now. It's raw and vulnerable, but it's me." As the words flowed, the nervous energy began to transform into a stirring passion. Jenna's gaze remained steady, breathing life into Sarah's insecurities. For the first time, Sarah considered how opening this door might illuminate parts of her she had kept hidden even from herself. But there remained a flicker of doubt. Were the pieces truly worthy? What if they didn't resonate with others? "I can't wait to see it," Jenna said, her enthusiasm brightening the cafe space. "You've always had a unique perspective. I've missed that part of you." Sarah felt the validation wash over her, pushing back the restraints of self-doubt. However, just beneath the surface of their conversation lay an undercurrent, the unspoken complexities of their pasts, especially Jenna's expectations stemming from the lives they once planned together. Did Jenna see Sarah as merely an artist now, or was she still the person defined by her past self? "I know it's been years since we've really connected," Sarah said, pausing for a moment, "and I've changed a lot, not just in art, but personally too. I want to be open about that." The vulnerability in her voice sliced through the initial exhilaration, and Jenna's expression shifted slightly, her interest now laced with caution. "What do you mean?" she inquired gently. The question hung heavy between them.
Sarah felt the murmurs of past grievances rushing back, a tidal wave of unresolved feelings about their friendship. Could she be forthright about the conflicts and triumphs that shaped her since their paths diverged? Would this rekindled friendship withstand the weight of truth? Before answering, Sarah inhaled deeply, steeling herself for what she was about to say. "I've battled through a lot more than I've shown. Taking back my identity didn't come easy, and I'm still figuring out how to balance everything. The fear of reverting to old cycles has lingered. Jenna nodded, absorbing Sarah's admission. Sarah watched as Jenna's demeanor softened, respect flickering in her eyes. The challenge now rested on them both. Their reload required honesty and might reshape the very foundations of their friendship. "Thank you for trusting me with that," Jenna replied, sincerity etched into her features. "It's a beautiful process when you think about it, evolving into who we're meant to be." Sarah felt a budding connection solidifying. Slowly, her nerves began to unravel, replaced by an uncharted excitement of the unexplored possibilities of this rekindled bond. Yet lingering concerns gnawed at her. Were these real evolutions, or merely old friends caught in nostalgia, desperately trying to piece together a shattered connection? For the first time, she found herself yearning to delve deeper into Jenna's side of the story, sensing that both of them had chapters yet to reveal. What secrets lurked behind Jenna's bright demeanor? Did she also hide layers of transformation, battling her own past connections? "Jenna, what about you?" Sarah ventured. "What has your journey been like?" The question hung in the air, charged with anticipation. Sarah waited for the response, knowing it could redefine the narrative shifting between them, her heart beating in rhythm with the promise of transformation. The moment of truth felt imminent, the pulse of their friendship crackling with potential. Jenna's expression shifted, a veil drawing over her features as she contemplated Sarah's question. Sarah noticed the flicker of uncertainty, a slight falter in Jenna's poised demeanor. For a moment, silence stretched uncomfortably, thick with unuttered truths. Jenna started, hesitating as if choosing her words with precision. "It's been complicated." As the words settled, Sarah could feel her heart rate quicken. Jenna's reticence fueled a swell of curiosity in Sarah, igniting a yearning to break through the surface. What could be weighing on Jenna, quieted and hidden behind that poised exterior? Sarah sensed the intricacies of their friendship threading into something deeper, a shared vulnerability that had yet to be fully explored. "But you've changed too, right?" Sarah pressed, leaning forward slightly, the coffee shop's background hum fading into a mere backdrop for their unfolding connection. "What does that look like for you?"
Jenna took a slow breath, visibly grappling with an inner tumult. "I thought I knew what I wanted, where I was headed. But the truth is," she paused, searching for clarity in her thoughts, "life doesn't unfold like we plan. I lost sight of myself. It's like I've been on autopilot for so long." Sarah's gut twisted at the revelation. Jenna had always been the one with the carefully curated path, a guiding map of certainty. The fact that she was lost too molded the canvas of Sarah's past assumptions, blending the colors of their realities into a stark and unsettling shade of empathy. "So who are you now?" Sarah probed gently, feeling the urgency of their conversation extend the tendrils of their history into unknown territories. "I'm not sure," Jenna admitted, her voice quieter now. "I thought my job would fulfill me, but every day feels like I'm putting on a mask, one that doesn't fit anymore." There was an honesty in Jenna that struck Sarah deeply, resonating with the very core of her own trials, a mirror reflecting her own journey of rediscovery and reckoning. Wasn't that the very essence of art, revealing one's truth in colors, lines, and shapes? "I feel that," Sarah replied, her own heartbeat matching the rhythm of surging determination. "I've been turning my pain into something palpable, into art. I want to break the cycle of just existing, like so many of us do. Maybe we both need to strip away the masks and the things we think define us." Jenna's eyes sparked, both at the challenge and the invitation. A connectivity pulsed through them, igniting the air between them with an energy that felt like organizing chaos into design. Yet Sarah felt the shadow of lingering doubts. Were they truly ready to confront the old narratives framing their lives? "What if we fail?" Jenna whispered, a vulnerability giving rise to the fear that threaded through both their lives. "Then we figure it out together," Sarah assured, her own voice steadying as her resolve solidified. Their shared journey could become part of this rediscovery theme, weaving their realities into the fabric of their artwork. "But what if diving deep, admitting the hard truths, changes everything?" Jenna's voice trembled with the weight of the possibility, her eyes wide with the enormity of what lay ahead. "Then we accept it," Sarah responded, feeling a rush of both liberation and trepidation. "This path is about authenticity, no matter how uncomfortable it gets." In that moment, a silence enveloped them, a pause steeped in shared recognition. They were standing on the precipice of something transformative. "I want to do this," Jenna finally asserted, her voice laced with newfound determination. "But how do we start?"
Sarah's mind raced with possibilities, each one a brushstroke building toward their collective masterpiece. But just as she opened her mouth to speak, her phone buzzed, an abrupt jolt pulling her back to reality. It was a notification from her gallery.
The exhibition committee wanted to meet with her, urgently. As anticipation coursed through her, Sarah locked eyes with Jenna, a thrill igniting in her chest. Could this be the pivotal moment to anchor their personal journeys in a collaboration that transcended the past? "Let's go together," Sarah suggested, her heart pounding with excitement. "Let's embrace this leap into the unknown." Jenna nodded, her fear amalgamated with hope. They both grasped at the same intuitive thread of readiness, signaling the dawn of not just revival, but amalgamation of their explorations. And as they exited the cafe, the air crackling with potential, Sarah felt her art and their friendship poised on a precipice. It was a beginning, a moment ready to crack open. Yet the question lingered, could they withstand the churning depths of truth that lay ahead? What awaited them in the meeting could redefine not just their artwork, but the very way they viewed their lives. An exhilarating, terrifying, and necessary unveiling was imminent. As Sarah and Jenna stepped out of the cafe, the bustling energy of the city wrapped around them, yet within her, anxiety brewed like a storm. The weight of that meeting loomed. Every second felt charged, fraught with unspoken possibilities. Jenna walked beside her, a tightly coiled spring of anticipation, and Sarah imagined the paths before them stretching infinitely, each route promising either growth or discomfort. "Do you think they'll accept our idea?" Jenna's voice broke through Sarah's reverie, laced with trepidation. "I don't know," Sarah replied, deliberate in her honesty, "but we have to present our truth, our journey. If we do that, we can't fail, not really." The two women made their way toward the gallery, determination etched into their expressions. Each step was a small rebellion against the doubt gray washing over them. Sarah could feel the vibrancy of her art flickering in her mind, an explosion of colors spilling out stories of pain and resilience. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about both of them rewriting their narratives and finding strength in vulnerability. As they reached the gallery, Sarah felt the pulse of her heart quicken. The glass doors reflected their intertwining selves, shadows of women reaching for a brighter amalgamation of their artistry. She took a deep breath, mentally preparing herself to confront whatever lay within those walls. Inside, the waiting area was alive with the murmurs of artists presenting their proposals. The stark white walls bore abstract paintings, pieces that whispered tales of struggle and enlightenment. Sarah and Jenna found seats, their excitement mingling with the scent of paint and fresh canvases. "What if they don't see the connection?" Jenna's voice was barely above a whisper, her earlier resolve wavering. "They will," Sarah reassured, but uncertainty knotted inside her. Would they understand the depths of their journey? The idea they crafted together was rooted in authenticity, a blend of their trials wrapped in creativity. When the time arrived, they were called into the committee room, a large space with high ceilings and an air of untouchable prestige. The committee members sat around a sleek table, reviewing their notes with glances that felt like weighing scales. "Tell us about your idea," one of the members said, a stony gaze fixed on Sarah. Sarah exchanged a glance with Jenna. They were one pulse, one heartbeat. Taking a breath, she began to weave their story, the transformative arc of lost identities, the masks they wore, and their artistic vision of shedding those layers. As she spoke, she felt Jenna's presence bolster her, a quiet strength radiating through their shared vulnerabilities. But as she detailed their collaborative artwork, she couldn't help but notice the subtle shifts in the committee's expressions, the amusement hidden beneath their professional facades, the skepticism creeping in. Would her passion translate, or would it be dismissed as mere naivete? As Sarah concluded, a heavy silence fell. "What makes your story unique?" one committee member challenged, brow furrowed. "Well, honestly, it comes from a place of raw vulnerability," Sarah responded, her voice steadying despite the pressure. "It's about facing the truth, the uncomfortable truths. Our experiences have informed our art in a way that feels like a necessity." "Are you prepared for the backlash?" another member queried, a serious note hanging in the air. Their question echoed Jenna's earlier fears, igniting a flicker of doubt in Sarah's mind. "Art is inherently risky," Jenna interjected, surprising Sarah. "It thrives in the discomfort of discovery. We want people to confront their own truths alongside us." Another silence lingered, thicker than before. A rift had opened between their expectations and the daunting weight of skepticism. Sarah's pulse raced, each heartbeat reminding her of the leap they had taken together, an artful plunge into the unknown. Then an older member leaned forward, his gaze piercing.
This could either bless you or shatter you. Are you willing to pave your path no matter the cost? The question pulled at her insides, forcing her to confront the stakes involved. This wasn't merely about calorie space. It was about their evolution, their very identities. "We are," Sarah and Jenna said in unison, finding strength in their shared resolve. As they left the meeting, the sunlight felt harsher, yet there was an undeniable electricity in the air. The weight of judgment now rested heavily, braided with the thrill of potential. The juxtaposition of fear and hope heightened her awareness of what lay ahead. "Do you think we convinced them?" Jenna asked, doubt seeping again. "Maybe," Sarah replied, but a new question brewed. It was more than like or dislike. It was about how they would navigate their raw truths.
The real test was not how others received their art, but how they would embrace their revelations moving forward. As they walked, Sarah felt an urgency, a burning desire to explore deeper, to peel back layers not just about art, but about what it truly meant to discover oneself amidst vulnerability. But the day had not yet unfolded its full potential. Days of heartache, triumph, and revelations loomed just beyond the horizon. Today was only a prelude. "What happens if we uncover something about ourselves that we're not ready to face?" Jenna whispered as they stepped onto the busy sidewalk. "Then we confront it," Sarah declared. They were intertwined in journey, and amidst the looming uncertainty, a flicker of light began to illuminate the darkness. What would that revelation reveal about their shared future? As they moved through the crowds, the vibrant chaos of the city seemed to amplify Sarah's inner turmoil. Every honking car, every chattering voice became a reminder of the turbulent waters of self-discovery waiting just beneath her surface. An unsettling question gnawed at her. What lay in the depths of her uncharted emotional landscape? Jenna's slight frame hurried beside her, her fingers tapping nervously on her phone, oblivious to Sarah's internal struggle. Despite the thrumming excitement that their meeting had induced, Sarah felt a haunting whisper of insecurity, echoing the committee's skepticism. Would their artistic journey truly resonate, or would it become just another forgotten narrative? "I don't think we gave them enough time to really understand us," Jenna noted, her voice tinged with concern, as they settled on a grassy patch in the park. Sarah drew in a steadying breath, allowing the fresh air to fill her lungs. "We can't force understanding. We have to find clarity within ourselves first. That's where her art begins." The sunlight filtered through the leaves, creating dappled patterns that danced around them. It was a beautiful scene, yet Sarah felt a storm brewing inside, a clash of doubt and desire. Unraveling her identity through art demanded more than surface-level expression. It called for her to confront her darkest fears and insecurities. "Do you ever think about what we'll have to reveal?" Jenna's voice was barely above a whisper. "What if it's too much? What if we lose ourselves along the way?" The vulnerability in Jenna's question sent a bubble of anxiety bursting in Sarah's chest. "It might be too much," she replied, the truth hanging thick in the air. "But isn't that why we are doing this? To challenge ourselves? To change how we see our stories?" Jenna nodded, yet Sarah could see the tremors of doubt in her eyes. They shared a moment of silence, and as Sarah watched the clouds drift lazily overhead, she felt a flicker of resolve ignite within her. "If we are going to do this, we must be all in. No holding back," she stated firmly, the decision illuminating her path forward.
We owe it to ourselves and to the stories that need to be told. The weights of those words settled around them. This was no longer just about a gallery showing. It was a commitment to authenticity, to the raw examination of their lives. Sarah's heart raced at the enormity of it all. With determination surging, she pulled out her sketchbook, flipping to a fresh page. "Let's map this out," she suggested, her hands itching to transform the tumult of their shared experiences into something tangible. Jenna hesitated for a moment before joining her, and together they began to brainstorm. Words filled the page, sketches of their inspirations, raw emotions bubbling up like never before. Each line drawn was a small liberation from the tendrils of previous doubt. Every idea sketched onto paper further illuminated their intertwined souls. But as Sarah sketched, deeper question reared its head. Beyond art, who was she at her core? What lay buried beneath her layers? The reflection jolted her, revealing shadows she had avoided for too long. "Do you think we'll find a part of ourselves we thought we lost?" Jenna asked softly, as her own sketches took form. "I hope so," Sarah breathed, feeling the weight of possibility. "But we won't know until we dive deep. We have to embrace even the shadow parts." With each pencil stroke, Sarah felt more empowered, each outline transformed into a roadmap of healing,
As they worked, the fear that had once cloaked their ambitions began to fade, replaced with an exhilarating sense of purpose. But an unsettling thought clung to her consciousness. What if diving deeper forced them to confront realities that were too painful to bear? As the sun began its descent and cast long shadows across the park, Sarah sensed an impending storm. Tomorrow loomed large with its uncertainties. What truths awaited them, and how would they prepare their spirits for the challenges ahead? With hearts racing from their intense collaborative moment, a quiet determination sparked between them. Despite the darkness ahead, Sarah resolved to embrace that uncertainty. Her journey of discovery had only just begun, and she was ready to confront whatever surfaced. But as she looked at Jenna, she wondered who they would be when the dust settled. "Tomorrow we face the truth," Sarah declared, a flicker of defiance in her voice. Even as the words flowed freely, she couldn't shake the irritable feeling settling like a weight on her chest. What truths would they uncover that might threaten to tear them apart? Jenna's nod of agreement encouraged Sarah, yet doubt hung like unfinished business. Stepping into the unknown was both exhilarating and terrifying. How could they possibly prepare for the fallout of the revelations? As dawn broke the next day, the air crackled with potential. Sarah woke to a lingering weight in the pit of her stomach, a physical manifestation of her lingering doubts.
How had such an ordinary morning transformed into the cusp of her most vulnerable self? With a deep breath, she tried to shake the tension, but only felt it knot tighter. She spent the morning pacing her small apartment, the thick sketchbook heavy in her hands. The pages weren't just paper, they were vessels for her fears, her hopes, and each stroke danced around the edges of her identity, waiting to reveal the truth. Her heart raced at the thought of meeting Jenna again, of peeling away layers of their pasts and exposing the raw underbelly of their artistry. Arriving at the park, she found Jenna already seated on the grass, her expression a confused mingling of excitement and dread. The sun filtered through the trees, illuminating the path of truth they were about to embark on, but it also cast long shadows that mirrored the uncertainty looming over them. "Hey, ready for this?" Sarah asked lightly, though the tremor in her voice betrayed her. Jenna swallowed hard, her eyes darting towards the busy street nearby. "Ready as I'll ever be. I can't shake this feeling. What if we discover things we can't unhear?" "Then we learn from them. We confront them." Sarah's own words felt more like a lifeline than a mantra. She took a seat beside Jenna, and they reflected in silence for a moment, the serenity of the park contrasting sharply with the tempest in her mind. "How do you want to start?" Jenna finally broke the silence, her tone dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Let's be honest about our fears first." It was an idea that condensed the trepidation swirling within Sarah like a storm. If we can confront those, we can face anything. With a nod that betrayed her own anxieties, Jenna opened her sketchbook. "I'll go first. I'm terrified that I don't have what it takes to see this through. What if everything I create is just superficial?" Sarah could see the flicker of vulnerability in Jenna's eyes. "And what if your art is genuinely beautiful?" The question cut through the air, hanging suspended between them. "What if that's not enough?" Jenna shot back. That struck a chord. Sarah recognized that fear, an aching need to be acknowledged, to find validation, not just externally, but from within. "I fear that too," she admitted, her voice quieter now. "But what if we never try? What if this is our only chance?" Jenna was silent, allowing Sarah's words to settle. The tension snapped, but a poignant awareness remained. They were standing on the precipice of a self-revelatory experience. With renewed fervor, they threw themselves into their sketchbooks. Each mark on the page was layered with honesty. Sarah sketched furiously, her hands moving almost faster than her thoughts could keep up with. As the images took shape, she began to visualize not just their stories, but her own unspoken truths. The gravity of her journey started influencing her strokes.
What if she used her art to express not just the doubts, but the strength she had gathered in confronting them? "Look at this!" Jenna's voice broke into Sarah's thoughts, revealing a detailed vignette of a young girl standing at the edge of a cliff, windswept hair symbolizing uncertainty. It represented Jenna's fear of falling into the depths of doubt. "You're not just capturing fear, you're showing resilience," Sarah pointed out, her heart warming with admiration. What if we combine our sketches?" Jenna interrupted, her eyes brightening with possibility. "Outline the fears, and then, in our own ways, show how we rise above them." The thought ignited a fire within Sarah. They could create an artistic dialogue between their vulnerabilities. The anxiety she'd felt earlier started to transform into a palpable sense of direction. But as they sketched together, a new thought crept in. Could revealing too much lead to feelings of exposure that might fracture their bond? As their outlines grew bolder, the fear of losing each other loomed just as large. Sarah felt the tension thrum beneath the surface. Were they ready to explore those dark waters?
As the sun dipped low in the sky, Sarah's hands hesitated on the page, the encroaching shadows reflecting her own fears. "Are we truly prepared to face what we might find?" she asked, glancing at Jenna. Jenna met her gaze, determination setting her features. "It's about time we did, don't you think?" With that unspoken agreement resonating between them, Sarah knew they were standing on the cusp of something monumental. But would they weather the storm as partners, or would the revelation splinter their connection? They had resolved to face their truths, but in that commitment lay a multitude of unwritten stories waiting to unfold. The wind picked up, sending a chill through the air, wrapping around their resolve. Tomorrow they would delve deeper. What might they discover that could change everything? The sun shone brightly on the day of the exhibition. Sarah stood outside the gallery, heart racing with anticipation and fear. Today was the culmination of weeks spent painting not only with colors and forms, but also with the raw emotions she had stripped bare in front of her canvas. As she glanced over at Jenna, who stood nervously inspecting her dress, a wave of pride washed over her. They had both confronted their insecurities, and now it was time to showcase their artistic rebirth. Inside the gallery, the room was a cacophony of chatter and laughter as art enthusiasts mingled, critiquing pieces that adorned the crisp white walls. But Sarah's focus was solely on the centerpiece of the exhibition, not just her art, but the story behind it. Each stroke on the canvas was a testament to her journey of self-identification and the struggles she had faced. No longer was she just Jake's wife. She was Sarah Collins, an artist who had conquered her doubts. "Are you ready?"
Jenna asked, her voice expressive of the emotion swirling within both of them. "More than ready," Sarah replied, her conviction surprising even herself. As the crowd gravitated towards Sarah's piece, a collective awe washed over the group. Each observer leaned in closer, captivated by vivid colors that told tales of vulnerability and strength. "This is beautifully raw," one guest remarked, eyes glistening with understanding. Another whispered to a friend, "It feels so relatable." For the first time, Sarah felt that she was not only seen but acknowledged. The shadows of self-doubt evaporated as she witnessed the association others created with her artwork. It resided in their hearts, not just in hers. Lost in the world of art and admiration, Jenna squeezed her shoulder gently, grounding Sarah in the moment. "You did this. You're amazing," she whispered, her own eyes reflecting a sense of shared triumph. With each compliment came waves of validation, and Sarah felt the weight of other people's perceptions slowly melt away. In that instant, she realized that true validation came not from their words, but from her courageous journey to rediscover herself. The evening progressed, and soon the gallery buzzed with excitement about Sarah's pieces. At around the corner, an esteemed art critic approached, an air of authority surrounding him. His reputation preceded him in the art world, and Sarah felt butterflies in her stomach as he scrutinized her work. "Your pieces resonate with a strength that is palpable," he said, standing transfixed before one canvas depicting a silhouette standing resilient against a storm. "The authenticity is what captivates the viewer. You have something here that cannot be dismissed lightly." Those words felt like a warm embrace. They were confirmation of her growth and the metamorphosis she had worked tirelessly to achieve. This was no longer just about art. It was about reclaiming her identity. But as dusk descended outside, something remarkable happened. Sarah stepped up to the microphone positioned in the center of the room. It was time to address her audience, to share not just her art, but the emotional narrative behind it. "Thank you all for being here to celebrate this exhibition. It's more than just a collection of paintings. It's a powerful journey of self-exploration. Each piece represents a battle against insecurity, expectations, and the shadows of my past. It reflects not just who I was, but who I am becoming." As she spoke, the words flowed freely. The honesty rang true, resonating deeply with those who listened. She could feel the audience hanging on each syllable as she articulated her journey. A sense of confidence enveloped her, transcending the fear she initially carried. "Today, I'm proud to stand here, not as someone defined by societal assumptions, but as an artist, unapologetically sharing my truth."
I hope my journey inspires you all to confront your own insecurities, embrace and celebrate your uniqueness. Thank you. The applause enveloped her with an outpour of recognition resonating within her heart. Tears of joy threatened to spill over, but her spirit soared. In that moment, she had accomplished not only the unveiling of her art, but also the reclamation of her identity. In the weeks following the exhibition, Sarah noticed a shift within herself. Each interaction was bathed in renewed self-assurance, a profound realization that she deserved the space she occupied. She continued painting fervently, each new piece diving deeper into her artistic expression, forging the lines of who she was and who she aspired to be. Jenna remained by her side, their friendship strengthened through transparency and vulnerability. They often reminisced about their initial struggles, recognizing the journey from doubt to clarity that had brought them to this place of expressive freedom. Sarah's art began to gain traction beyond the local scene, with inquiries coming from galleries further afield. She was on the brink of realization, not just as an artist, but as a woman who had embraced her growth. Each opportunity served as a testament to her mastery over her narrative. This was no fluke. She had earned her place. As Sarah stood before a new canvas, basking in the light streaming through her window, she recognized how far she had come. The doubt that once defined her had transformed into the driving force behind her artistry. This was a fulfilling culmination of her struggles, a dedication to resilience, and a celebration of the woman she had chosen to become. In a world filled with endless opportunities for self-discovery, Sarah understood that her journey was just beginning. She had shattered the barriers of expectation, crafting her narrative boldly, and in that truth, she had finally found herself. You need to subscribe now to ensure you don't miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your appreciation for this journey. Comment your reactions and theories about this transformative conclusion, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this remarkable resolution.